Hi, in this video, I am gonna configure two different routing protocol in Palo Alto. One routing protocol is called OSPF and the second one is called RIP, and I will redistribute both of the routing protocol. So this is my topology. I have three different zone: trust zone on Ethernet 1/1, DMG zone on Ethernet 1/2, and ISP zone on Ethernet 1/3. These are like two different Cisco routers I'm using, and this ISP, the Rogers, this is my management cloud. So let's I have like some different networks here on between router and in this computer I have network 192.168.1.0, and in Palo Alto and the router 2 I have a network 192.168.10.0. I have two loopback address 1.1 and 2.2.2. So in DMG I have like two another different network, so 20.0 and 2.0. So overall right now I have six different network: 1 2 3 4 and 2 loopback, 6 network. So let's start configuring the interfaces now. So on Ethernet 1/1 on the Palo Alto I have network 10.100 and Ethernet 1/2 I have 20.100. Okay, I'm gonna create a new virtual router. I can use the default one without any issue there, but just wanna do something new. Security zone, it is a trust zone. So 192.168.10.100, that's the IP on Ethernet 1/1, and I will enable a ping. Okay. Now let's configure Ethernet 1/2. Ethernet 1/2, it is in a DMG zone. So interface layer 3 virtual router, I'm going to use the one I created. Security zone, I need to create a new zone, DMG. IP address, I have 192.168.20.100. So as you can see in my topology, I have Ethernet 1/2 20.100. Ethernet 1/3, it is directly connected to the internet ISP, so it will automatically receive an IP address. Interface layer 3 virtual router, the one I created. Security zone ISP. IPv4 receive automatically. Management profile ping. Okay, so all the interface has been configured now. Now go to the virtual router. Click over here, and here first I need to configure the OSPF. First I will configure this side, then I will configure the DMG side. So on the trust side, how we gonna configure? Click on the OSPF, enable OSPF features, router ID. I can put a router ID. I can use the same interface address 192.168.10.100. I'm gonna use this network as a router ID, and I can create here, click add, and I need to add the interface. On which interface I need to enable the OSPF. So it is on the Ethernet 1/1. Enable, okay, and we can change the like metrics also: hello time, dead interval time, and the metric priority. So that's it. Just we need to add interface and the area on which area OSPF is gonna reside. It will reside on 0 area 0, but the correct format to write in the Palo Alto 0.0.0.0. That's how we write the area. If we have area 1, so we have to type 1.1.1.1. Okay. OSPF has been configured now. So let's commit the changes. While the commit gets changed, let's start this router and we will configure these interfaces and configure the OSPF. So router 2, somehow my router isn't working, so I'm gonna stop the router, wipe it, and I will restart it. Okay, now the router is working. Enter, no. Enable, configure mode, host name, I can put router 3, sorry, router 2, or I can use the trust router. So I'm gonna keep router 2. So now let's configure interface fast Ethernet 0/0. I have IP address 192.168.10.101. Actually, interface fast Ethernet 0/0 IP address, no shutdown. Now I'm gonna configure interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1 IP address 192.168.1.1 255.255.255.0, no shutdown. And let me configure the loopback address also. Interface loopback 1 IP address 1.1.1.1 255.255.255.0. Okay, this is one extra one here. Now interface loopback 2 if you go and see show IP interface brief, we can select 4 interface has been configured: loopback 1, loopback 2, 0.0 and 0.1. So now let's configure the OSPF on this network. We can configure OSPF on interface, or we can configure OSPF directly with the name router OSPF 1 network 192.168.10.0 and the default wildcard mask 0.0.0.255 area 0. Area should be same on the both end. Now that another network we have 192.168.1.0. I have like 2 loopback network. And the 2 network. OSPF has been successfully configured now. If you go on the virtual router and we will click on more runtime stats, we will see all these like networks: loopback 1, loopback 2, and 192.168.1.0 network. These three networks: 1.1 loopback 1, 2 network, and 1.0 network. And we can see the flags here. This is A mean active, OI mean OSPF intra area. We can see read the flags here. So OSPF has been successfully configured now. Now we're gonna configure the RIP on Ethernet 1/2. Same, click on the virtual router, click on the RIP. We just need to enable it and add the interface. Enable, add interface, Ethernet 1/2. Okay, done. And it's commit. It's successful. So on the Palo Alto, it is very easy to configure the routing protocols, but on the router side, it is a little bit difficult. Not difficult, like we need to put some commands here. So now let's configure the RIP on this side, on router 3. Enable configure host name. We can put like DMG router. Now let's configure the interface fast Ethernet 0/0. IP address I have here 20.101. Now interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Okay, I need to configure the subnet mask also. No shutdown. If you click on Control Z, show IP interface brief. I can see two network has been configured here, 20.0 and 2.1. So now let's configure the RIP and this router. Router RIP, just need to give the network 192.168.20.0 network and the network 192.168.2.0 network. Version 2, no auto summary. Control Z, WR, save the changes. Okay, so if we go on the router, we will able to see a network 192.168.2.0 in the routing table. So virtual router, more running time stats, and we can see like here we go, 192.168.2.0 network is in the Palo Alto routing table. But I will still not able to ping like from this network to this network because I need to redistribute both network with each other. So now let's redistribute it. Same, click on the virtual router, click on the redistribution profile. First I'm gonna put all the like OSPF network into RIP network. So let's create a profile here, redistribution profile, add. We need to select redistribution first, otherwise it is not gonna work. Put OSPF into RIP, priority 1, and source type all the directly connected network, and we want to put OSPF network into RIP, and the static network we will just configure a default route, that's the one. Okay, we just configure the profile. Now go back to the RIP and export this profile, export role, add, and OSPF into RIP. Okay, commit, successful. If we go on the DMG router, see show IP route, we can only see like two networks here. Once the commit will successful, all the OSPF network will come here. Okay, it's successful now. So show IP route, click here. Now we can see like all the network, loopback 1, loopback 2, 192.168.10 network, and then like these networks. Loopback 1, loopback 1, 2, 10 network and 1 network. And this is the one network. So now we have to redistribute. Still we will not be able to ping because we need to redistribute RIP into OSPF also. Same, go to the virtual router, redistribution profile, create a new profile. Now we have to put all the RIP network into OSPF. All connected RIP network and the static route. Priority, I'm gonna use 1. Okay, now go to OSPF, export role. Actually we forget one thing here. When we did like RIP into OSPF, we forget to click on redistribution. Otherwise it is not gonna work. Okay, go to the OSPF, export role and export that profile. So RIP into OSPF. Bring all the RIP network into OSPF. Okay, okay, commit and commit. Now if we go on the router 2 and we see here like show IP route, there's only these 4 networks. We don't have any DMZ network like 192.168.20.0 and 192.168.2.0. Once the commit is successful, these network will appear in OSPF. It's 99%, so almost successful. Router 2, yeah, it's now show IP route, and we can see like 20 dot network is here and 2 dot network is here, and they came via OE2. So redistribution has been successful. If we go and try to ping, now it will work. Enable both these PC, click on virtual PC. I'm gonna give the IP address IP 192.168.2.2/24, 192.168.2.1. That's the gateway. Actually it is from network 1, 1.2. Now even let's configure the DMZ one also. IP so now let's try to ping 192.168.2.2. I'm trying to ping from this computer to this computer. It is not gonna ping because there is no policy configured to go from one area to another area. Go to the policy, security, add a policy, and we can make like allow all. Source zone can be any, destination zone can be any, action allow, log at session start, okay, and commit. So this is virtual PC 7. Once the commit is successful, it will start pinging. Okay, commit is successful and I'm able to ping from trust zone to DMZ zone and with the different routing protocols. So I need like now let's see like am I able to go to internet ping 8.8.8 No, we need to configure a default route and push that default route into OSPF and RIP. So let's go back to another again virtual router, configure a static route, whatever destination, send it to Ethernet 1/3 on ISP, and the next hop is 192.168.86.2. This IP address is my 86.2 from this node. Okay, so if you go on the OSPF, we need to uncheck this mark reject default route. Same go on the RIP, uncheck this one, and on the redistribution profile, when I selected this one, we have to make sure like the static route is mark on. Same in the RIP OSPF, static is mark on, and in the export role, this should be marked allow redistribution default route. Okay, so go to the policy. We need to create a net. DMG and trust zone can go to internet. Commit the changes. Once you will commit will successful, we will able to see in the router 2. If we go on the router 2, yeah, this is the router 2. If you see on the router 2, there is no default route. Show IP route. There is no okay. Now the commit is successful and the default route is here 0.0. Before, like if you see on the another one before previous table, there was no default route. So commit is successful. We can see like default route is available here now. Same in the router 3 DMG. There is no default route. Now the commit is successful and we will be able to see the default route here. Here we go. That's the default route. Default route is here. Now we can go to the internet. Virtual PC 4. Before I was not able to ping Google. Ping 8.8.8. Now I can ping the Google. And same if you go on the DMG PC. Can I go to internet? Ping 8.8.8. Yes, I am able to go to the ping internet. So what we did, we configure OSPF in between two node, we configure RIP in between two node, and I redistribute both of the routing protocols. I configure like a static route and push that static route via redistribution profile into both routers. That's it.